Justin, welcome. Tell us a bit about the DailedIn, because fantastic product. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I used to be an investment banker, so in the bowels of investment banks, you're churning out financial models and you're churning out presentations, and I suppose part of the spark, happened a long time ago, where I was thinking, maybe there's a better way to do this, and so that's played a significant role in terms of the development of the product, over time. There's been a few pivots along the way. But it essentially, started thinking about it when I was a banker.
So it's presentation software. There's quite a number of offerings in that space already. So where did you see the gap in the market?
It's essentially being able to do it in the cloud. Right now, communications, creating the presentations predominantly is being done through desktop software. Mm-hmm. So there's issues with that, availability. What if you've left that file on the work computer, you want to do something, while you're out traveling, moving around. What if you want to be able to seamlessly incorporate video and have a 100% chance of that it's going to work, with your client. What if you want a presentation which is interactive, mm-hmm. rather than linear? Presentations are linear, so page 1, page 2, page 3. But I think, as we all know, these presentations, these discussions start out linearly, mm-hmm. but then, feedback from the client is saying, what about this? What about that? So you need a tool which enables you to go, touch or click and get there, rather than flipping through, 10, 15, mm. 20 pages to get to the page that you're looking for. There's that, and there's just a plethora of issues with regard to the current way, mm-hmm. That people are creating, sending presentations, viewing presentations, and a clear lack of insight, in terms of who's actually paying attention to your presentation. Mm. So what our software does is fix in one fell swoop the entire problem base of the communication cycle.
So talking about insights, was there a moment of insight where somebody said something, or you're walking along a beach and you thought of the idea? Where did that come from?
It's definitely been staged. Over time, you recognize problems in the process. One problem could be something like how do you send a presentation that's got video in it to someone else? Mm-hmm. You've got to make sure that the video file is in the same folder right on your computer. You've got to upload the folder, into a zip file. Mm. You've then got to take that zip file and you've got to upload it to like a Dropbox or a file sharing service. They've got to then download it, and then they've got to then know how to unzip that folder. Then they've got to make sure that the video file's still in the presentation.
So it's clunky.
Folder. It's clunky. So you realize things like this all the time. And it was a combination of, wait a second, with current technology in the cloud, this actually enables the capability to fix all of those problems at once. So I wouldn't say there was one particular moment, but it just builds up over time, and then you have this feeling that, wait a second, I'm working on something big right now.
But of course, PowerPoint has until recently been the default setting, but I've often been surprised that Microsoft have never really done anything to enhance PowerPoint. Is that created an opportunity for competitors like you to come in?
Yeah, and Microsoft, what they're trying to do is they're trying to put some of that into cloud as well with their Microsoft 365. That fixes, a couple of the problems, but, there are many problems beyond just putting it into the cloud. So, we're focused on creating our own new sort of paradigm of communication. We don't really see ourselves as competing head to head with Paradigm. We're offering a new way to communicate, for our clients to communicate to their customers.
So the cloud has changed the paradigm effectively.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, it hasn't been just one big bang. If you see what started happening in the late 90s, that was really when the cloud started to happen. If you look at Salesforce, for example, which is far and away, probably one of the most successful cloud companies out there. What that was about was literally just taking the application from the desktop and putting it in the cloud, and therefore making it available from, whether it's from your work device or your home device. It's one set of code, so a company doesn't have to manage all of these apps, across all of these devices. So big cost savings in terms of that, and that continued throughout the early 2000s. But things have got really interesting in the last 2-3 years with what I call sort of Cloud 2.0, which is a blend of collaboration, data, and mobility. So essentially now you have multiple apps in the cloud, and these apps can now collaborate with each other. So through integrations. So these collaborating apps can then mine for opportunities in data. So, now you've got these machines to machines, like talking to each other, providing potential revenue opportunities. And then on top of that, you put mobility, which means that you can then access these opportunities from anywhere, from any device. So that's what's happening right now. And you're seeing some new big winners coming out of that. There's companies such as, Workday, big cloud HR company, Xero in accounting, in terms of customer service, you've got Zendesk and Freshdesk. And what we're doing at DailedIn is we're looking to be a big participant in the communication, zone of that Cloud 2.0.
Do you think this is a market that ultimately will be dominated by one player? Is that the model that you're trying to head towards?
Well, we certainly would like to be, the first company to really make it in that area. I don't think this is that one company has to dominate everything. The fact is that when you're creating these communications, you're creating them in HTML and HTML5, which is the universal language. So you can have, different apps which are creating product communications in HTML, HTML5, which can therefore be portable. So you could have different apps talking to each other, going forward. It's not like a proprietary language. So, is there going to be one who really dominates and does well? Potentially, but I think that there could be a pretty, robust landscape of big winners.
What sort of a take-up have you had to this point?
It's been fantastic. I mean, we started really sort of honing our product, getting it ready. It started to become sort of commercially strong in around sort of April, May of last year. We brought on Major League Baseball in the US as a client, and within 5 minutes, the sales reps at Major League Baseball using DailedIn, we were the MVP of that organization. So it's aha moments like that which you get when you're building your business, when you really know that you've got something on your hands. And then we started with clients. MediaWorks is a client of us here in New Zealand. Again, powerful response from individuals across the organization, whether it's in sales, marketing, training, event planning, and then you see your application scaling naturally without you having to push. There's more of a pull from the clients. So.
But won't you run into the same problem as Microsoft, that effectively everybody will use the system? All presentations will effectively end up looking the same if you end up in a sort of a global domination situation.
Well, I think what our strategy is HTML and HTML5, the universal language, and so you've got independent developers and designers out there all over the world creating really cool new types of functionalities, animations, or it could be, special types of video players or interactive navigation. And so what we've done is we've gone, great, we're going to take advantage of that open source community. So, we don't have to have hundreds of designers in-house and DailedIn. We plug into the global developer and designer community of tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. And so what we do is we see what's cool out there and we approach those people and say, hey, we'd like to license your product. So essentially, what you see out there around the world, whether it's Facebook or other types of consumer applications, what we can do is tap into that and say, hey, we want to provide that to our business clients, to our enterprise clients, and going forward, small businesses as well.
How are you going about the sales and marketing process, or is it selling itself?
Right now, we're very much focused on enterprise sales. Like, for example, a couple of clients that we've just agreed terms with, JP Morgan in New York, and Cantor Fitzgerald. They're very much relationships that our team members have. So basically, it's them using their Rolodex to get inside, of those companies, and it's about a 6-month sales cycle as you move through. The important thing with enterprise sales is that once they adopt your technology and you do a great job, then you're part of their infrastructure. So the sales cycle is quite long, but you get in there and it's a long-term relationship. Moving into next year, we will be launching a self-service model. So we'll be able to bring in small businesses from all over the globe at that time. So that'll be a focus next year. But for right now, it's purely focused on large organizations.
And you pay an annual license fee?
Yes. So we charge, a license fee, per user per month. And that's sort of variable, according to the numbers of users, as well as how long a commitment that the client is willing to give, 12 months, 2 years or longer.
What about security? I mean, a lot of very sensitive information, and you've got the competing organisations and information. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's something you've got to be pretty cognizant of.
I mean, that's a core part of our offering. All of our site is SSL encrypted. It's encrypted between the apps we provide on the devices back up to the servers. We have to, just by the nature of our clients, go through extremely rigorous security audits. So, for example, the security audit at JP Morgan, was basically 3 months. And they're sending you these spreadsheets, you're getting on conference calls, you're providing demonstrations to them, they're looking at your code, so our system is it's very well protected. We have clients that are competing against each other. So those clients need to know that we're basically a black box for them. So that's an important part of what we do.
Now, you're New Zealand born and bred. You've been living in the States 15 years now, and so you're doing the reverse of Xero. You're building the business in the US and selling it into New Zealand. Did you consider bringing it to New Zealand and building it from here?
I began my career in London, and then I was kind of sick of the weather, and so moved out to Los Angeles. I was a banker there. Started this business there. Because of the enterprise nature of our client base, you have to be in the market with the people to whom you're actually doing business with. I'll give you an example of that. I was actually at a potential client here in New Zealand a couple of days ago. My phone started going nuts, and I couldn't answer it because I was presenting here to the CEO of the company and 3 or 4 of his direct reports. I couldn't pick it up, but I saw that this guy was the head of the healthcare practice for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, TBWA. And I wanted to take it. He has a very large pharmaceutical client in New York that wanted to be pitched our product the next day. And so, here I am in New Zealand, and I can't do it. Obviously, we have a team back in New York. But again, we have a small team. Some of our team members are currently in San Francisco at the Salesforce, Dreamforce convention. So we had to send along someone pretty junior to pitch one of the largest advertising agencies. They also brought in their drug company client. And if we didn't have people in New York to go there within 24 hours, they would not have looked at this deal. So in enterprise software, you've got to have people on the ground where you can move in and take these meetings. And
these are some of the growth pains that you're having to deal with. You have 12 staff at the moment. So how big could this get over time?
you can have very large business development teams in all of the regions where you're doing business. So it could be, almost every, business center in the world. We were very keen on investing here in New Zealand. So, our preferred area of technology investment is here in New Zealand. We have a development hub right now down in Christchurch. So we'll be building out that presence. On that, it's kind of a scarcity of engineers, right? So we're looking for Ruby on Rails engineers, jQuery, JavaScript, specialists. So I suppose the number of people could be limited by the supply of skills. But yeah, this could be knock on wood, right, will be a very large employer around the world.
Challenges along the way, what have been the kind of obstacles you've faced over this 7-year journey to get the business to this point?
So part of it is getting the right people. I mean, I've been lucky that that I've met some A+ people early, and having a background in mergers and acquisitions for big global banks, you generally are dealing with amongst the brightest and smartest, most driven, ambitious people. So I can kind of recognize those types in different areas. I had a stint in television, so I've had familiarity with the creative type versions of that. So one of the biggest challenges is getting the right people, because if you get one wrong person, that can become a disease for the organization. So one has to take their time, make sure that the right people, and then additionally you need to be well capitalized, right, to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. Sales cycle can be long, so you need the staying power to do that. So there's multiple opportunities in different areas, but something that we've overcome nicely. Interestingly,
half of your senior management team are actually Kiwis.
Yeah, I mean, essentially we're a bunch of Kiwis working in New York. So we've got a very strong New Zealand identity for the company, and we'll continue to build on that.
That doesn't really count though in the US an awful lot though, does it? I mean, the fact you come from New Zealand or Zimbabwe, whatever, does it really count for anything?
No, not at all. I mean, very focused on performance. Our US clients, they care about one thing, and that's can we solve their problems? And they don't really care about the accent that we have.
It's all about the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our chief revenue officer, Grant Kraft, he was in London in sort of the mid 2000s. He went across to the US. He started up, the previous employee he was with started up their business in New York. He brought in pretty much 19 of the 20 top US financial institutions for that service. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, you name it. He brought in a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies. He's got a New Zealand accent. He's from Ranfurly. So that was not a problem.
Could you see opportunities to take the business into other areas? You mentioned there's been some pivots along the way, but can you see other opportunities for it in the future?
I think right now we're focused in on providing a platform for sales and marketing communications. That's really what we're focused on, whether it's for enterprise or small business. There are, I think, other opportunities in education and other areas, but really what our mission is to remove communication barriers between our clients and their customers. And so what we're doing is we're just knocking down each of those dominoes one at a time.
What sort of goals have you set yourself for the next few years?
Well, we're focused on growing this business. So that means growing customer numbers, growing revenues, really taking advantage of the overall opportunity, which is to be a big participant in cloud-based communications for enterprise and small business. So it's essentially it's growing that business is the number one goal.
And just funny, what would you say to somebody who's thinking of following in your slipstream of taking an idea to the US, launching it from there, or maybe even doing it from here in New Zealand? What are those considerations that they should be thinking about?
Be smart, be ready to pivot, right? To listen to people. But I think by far the best advice I could give, in the words of Winston Churchill, is to never, ever, 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 ever give up.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Justin, thanks very much.
Thank you.